Hope everybody enjoyed their chicken barbecue dinner tonight from Westbury United Methodist Church. I inhaled mine real fast.
So did I.
But it was good. We had a long line there. Okay. I have no registered speakers for tonight, so we'll skip over that. Everybody has received the bills, looked them over. How are the bills? Okay, do I hear a motion then?
I'll make a motion to accept the bills.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Those of you that may notice that sitting next to me on my left right here is Adrian Daniels. Maureen is on vacation right now. Okay, the minutes. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes over. Any discussion on that? Okay.
Move we accept them as read.
I'm sorry?
Me too. I move that we accept them as written.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Let's pass that down. Okay, first thing with Heritage, just an update on that. We did have a little powwow with Laura Darling last week, which cleared up a number of issues that we had with the HCA, not so much with the road use or the decommissioning or the complaint resolution, but we got a lot of things resolved and taken care of, and it looks like we've got those documents pretty well set at this time. As soon as I get some copies, Laura's redoing the HCA, retyping it. As soon as I get the copies of those documents, I will distribute them to everybody so that at our next workshop, which is August 2nd, we can review all those documents. In your pile, no, I put in your mailbox, I think, was a decommissioning plan from Heritage. And I couldn't remember, I couldn't find my computer if I ever forwarded that out to everybody.
I don't think I got that one.
I don't think I did either.
Then I must have put it in your mailbox.
I checked in my mailbox.
Yeah, I have it in my mailbox, but.
I got it in my mailbox too.
No, I mean, I checked in my mailbox and I don't have a copy in there.
Yeah, I ran off all these copies. Okay, I'll make some more copies.
Yep.
Because I know two of them I stapled incorrectly.
Yeah, one was my. Harry, does yours look like this?
I didn't have one at all.
Should
I don't
look
have.
just like this.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't
Okay,
have
'cause mine got stapled wrong.
unless it's in with somebody. Oh wait, is this? No, this is Baird's decommissioning.
No, that other big pile is all the beer record.
Yeah, I don't have it.
That's all right. We'll get it later.
Okay. Who did not get one of these?
I did not.
Carrie's the only one?
I didn't check my mailbox, so I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you got two in.
I took them, maybe I didn't put them back in the mailbox. I took two back to my office, pulled the staples and re-stapled them. They might still be sitting on my desk.
Okay.
So after the meeting, please come back with me and I'll get them to you. Like I said with this stuff, with everything that we hammered out, we spent a couple of hours. So as soon as I get those documents, I'll get them to you, so you have a chance to digest them before our workshop, okay? Barron Solar Project.
Hold on, before we move on, don't you think that we should be talking about the ruling that came out in the ORES and if we're going to appeal and all that stuff?
Well, what they just sent out at the last minute there was just the same thing, the same, report that they had sent like a week earlier. Only this time they had said that if you wanted to appeal, whether you have party status or not, or any of the other parts that we had objected to, you had 5 days, of which they conveniently included Saturday and Sunday in that 5 days. In the discussion that we had had, the general feeling was that
Well, I'm sorry, can you back up so are you talking about the conversation that you had? Cause is everyone on the same, like, does everyone know what's being discussed? Like, cause nothing has come across in emails and we haven't had a meeting since the workshop. And so I know that from talking to you on Monday that you had talked to Lance and Dwight on Friday about it, but I feel like the whole board should be kind of filled in on what's happened, what came out on Friday the 9th, and where we are and all of that.
Well, I spoke to Dwight not only on Friday, but I believe I spoke to him on Monday and on Tuesday as well. I think Tuesday was the deadline to file the appeal. We both, between ourselves, felt that for the town to take the appeal, it was going to be an unnecessary expenditure of money and time. Didn't feel that that things were going to change in terms of the outcome. And also, I read the appeal that was filed by Clear Skies over Barry. And part of that appeal, as I read it, was that Clear Skies was challenging any and all the waivers of the town's local law. So it's basically been preserved for appeal through Clear Skies of Barry.
Okay, so I want to kind of back up because I don't know that Margaret and Lynn and Tom are on the same page with us as what's going on, and what some of the information that you just shared, I had no knowledge of or no awareness of. So, New York State came back with a ruling on July 9th. They were supposed to have put in a ruling on July 5th. They didn't come out with it until July 9th, and at that ruling, they said that none of us, so the town, is not a party to this case, and that everything that we appealed or that we presented as concerns, so all of our local laws that is not being met by the applicant, have been overruled, and that they are that we are now as a town not able to participate in the rest of the proceedings because we're not given party status. We weren't the only ones. Every organization, everyone except for the Office of Renewable Energy, was denied party status. And I think that my concern, one is that if we feel that, so if CSAB appealed that, then the town saying, even if we get it in after the fact, saying that, yeah, no, we appeal this too. And I guess my biggest issue with this whole thing is that essentially we as a town have been just kicked out of this entire proceeding. Like, we have no say whatsoever in what goes on, and we're just saying it's okay for New York State to do whatever they want to do.
I don't think it's a question of saying it's okay. It's a question of, from a practical standpoint, some of the things that we thought that the town might litigate is still going to be worked out through the host community agreement with Heritage. For example, the radar detection for the lighting. That was one of the issues. Another issue is the working hours. And I think that we're able to resolve those issues to the extent that they are even issues, with Heritage. Now, at this point, neither Clear Skies Over Berry nor Save Our Shores are parties either. And I understand that there's an appeal that's been filed. The fact that there's an appeal that's been filed doesn't guarantee you success. And I don't speak for Clear Skies Over Berry, obviously, but I can tell you in terms of tracking this, first in terms of what ORAS came out with and what we anticipated the administrative law judges to do, which was to basically rubber stamp what ORAS did. I thought that, and Blake Kaniak also agreed with me that the chance of success on our appeal were slim to none.
Okay, so you're talking, okay, just to back this up a little bit. So we are the first wind project going through this process. The two solar projects that have been approved, I looked a little bit about those as well. There were 0 comments in opposition, 0 comments of concerns with those projects. This is the first contentious project that is being put forth. The idea that as a town, that this entire project is within our town. We have intervener funds that before, I mean, when we were sitting here, Dwight was talking and I was saying, well, maybe we should pick and choose what we are going to appeal, what we're going to bring up as concerns. And he said, I don't think that the finances should be a reason as to whether you should move forward or not move forward. You have intervener funds. You should be participating to the full extent that you can. And so I think that by just saying we're not going to appeal, we're not going to do anything, we have intervener funds. If we've been kicked out of this process, they're just going to go back to the developer anyways at the end of the process if those funds aren't used. And I think that by saying, no, you know what, you said that we can't participate, okay, we won't participate, even though our community, like the county doesn't have a say, the town doesn't have a say, there's no one sitting on the siting board who's from our community because there is no siting board anymore. I just think that this is, has completely, I mean, we as a town board passed that resolution saying that we weren't okay with 94C and with the regulations that they're doing. And I think to not appeal their decision to kick us out of this process, that's not wise, I don't think.
I think you're certainly entitled to your opinion. When you rely on legal advice, it's not only from me as town attorney, but also from Malcolm Shaw. And it wasn't a question of the intervener funds. It was a question of what did we honestly expect that was going to happen with respect to the appeal. Now, maybe when Clear Skies Over Berry, if they entertain your appeal, they grant you the relief, I guess, maybe you can turn around and say shame on us. But at this point, you're in no better position than we are, other than the fact that you're appealing something that, for all intents and purposes that I can see, I don't think the state is really going to be sympathetic.
But what I'm saying is that I guess my thought is, what is the downside? Why wouldn't we, at least if we don't submit anything, then you're right, there's 0 chance. And this just sets a precedence for future, it doesn't matter whether it's this project or any other project or anything else that New York State wants to do. Us saying we're not going to appeal this is saying that we're okay with whatever they want. And I understand.
I beg to differ with you, and I don't think you should put words in other people's mouths to say it means that we agree with what was done. The question is whether your chances of success on our appeal are viable and whether there are alternative ways of achieving the same thing by working and developing the consensus with the developer. And I think that's what we're shooting.
But should we not do both? Because the HCA and the decommissioning plan and all of that is outside. No, I'm sorry, but I'm not okay.
The appeal period has ended. So
I understand as our attorney that you can say that, but I'm still an elected official and I'm still here and I'm still able to voice my concerns. And I think that their appeal, their time frame was up. They were supposed to have something in by July 5th. They didn't get it into July 9th. Whether they accept our appeal or not, if it's submitted late, I think that that's another thing. It's not a moot point. This is our first town board meeting since the information was shared. This is our opportunity to say something. And again, we don't have intervener funding that can go towards these discussions about the decommissioning plans and about the all of those things. That is all supposed to come out of the town's cost. That's at the town's expense. Whereas this process and the ORES and the 94C process, we have intervener funding. So why would we not
Well, then
put forth an effort?
Make a motion, if the town passes it, then we can authorize, North Shore to file the appeal, and see what happens. Whether it's timely or not, that'll be up to the state to determine.
In this case, I agree with Lance insofar as I think it's far better and we can get a lot further with this process by dealing and working directly with the developer. We work with them, we cover all our concerns and everything with them, and we did a lot of that last week.
So, Sean, I'm not disagreeing in that. I do think that we should be doing that as well. I'm not saying, I guess I'm having a hard time seeing where why it's one or the other. Why would it be, we're going to do this, so we're not going to do this, instead of, we have intervener funding, a ruling came out that was not in favor of the residents of our community. There's a significant number of residents in our community that are putting forth their own money and are paying an attorney to put forth an appeal, and we as a town could say, you know what, in good faith, we're also, because we want to be part of this process, so we are also going to put forth an appeal in so much as to say that like, even if nothing comes of it, to at least share our frustration and just share that we do want to continue to be part of the 94C process. We do not want to be kicked out of it.
Well, there was more theory than home rule in there. Reading through it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's everything.
I agree with you on home rule. I don't agree on the other parts that are in there.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. I agree with you on the home rule part.
Okay.
But other parts I don't.
So if we appeal to that part and we say that we would like
You
to
can't
have,
appeal to just one part without being covered in everything that's in there.
so you were saying that we are appealing everything because everything that we put forth as a town already was rejected. And so we are appealing. So you're saying that you don't agree with what we put forth originally?
I'm saying that I'm not agreeing with what they're saying in there, that we're actually losing home rule. I think we should have home rule, but it doesn't mean that I have to agree with everything else in there.
Well,
But-
you know,
But
here's-
our appeal would only be what we already put forth. It would only be appealing what we already put forth. We're not changing what we put forth. I'm not saying that we're agreeing with CSAB on all of their concerns. I'm saying that we are appealing the decision to kick the town of Barry out of this 94C process, and that we think that they need to take another look at our concerns, and that they are legitimate concerns. That we as a town, I'm not saying what anybody else put in there. It's what we as a town.
Well, I agree with Lance as far as I'm concerned.
Well, like I said, if the board passes a motion and wants to try to file an appeal at this point, I certainly convey that to Dwight Kadnick, and he can file an appeal.
Lance, can you tell me, outside of the fact that you don't think that it's going to be fruitful, is there a reason that we shouldn't at least put forth an effort? I mean, financially, we know we have intervener funds that, if we don't use them for this, aren't going to be used. So why would we not put forth an effort on this?
Because me as a lawyer, I have to evaluate something to determine if there's a reasonable chance of success. I wouldn't spend any client's money, whether it's the town of Barry's or anybody's, if I thought it was simply going to be pissed away. Okay, so that's my basic view of the thing. You've seen the tenor of this. I mean, now we've got a lawsuit that the Zoglin group brought to nullify the 94C regulations. I suppose if they're successful, all this becomes moot because everything reverts back to the Article 10 regulations, and it isn't under 94C. And there's a little bit more respect for home rule under Article 10, but not a whole heck of a lot.
Juarez shot down everything, right?
Everything.
Like,
His last,
For everybody, for
Everybody,
Clear Skies,
yes.
for
This
Clear
is
Shore,
this is
Town of
this,
Berry,
Now,
everybody.
his last one that they sent
This is
out
the
gave
state.
5 days. Who sent that out? Was that Juarez or was that the ALJs?
The ALJs, I believe.
through the 94C.
Okay, the ALG sent it out, so we had 5 days to appeal. Now, if they already shot it down, now we're going back to the same, there's only 2, I believe, right?
There's a reviewing body. It's not I don't think it's the ALJs. They don't review their own appeal.
Right.
But
But the point being is that they already shot it down and it's going to eventually get back into their hands again.
we're gonna shoot it down again.
But again, if we don't put forth anything, we know 100% that it's not going to do anything. But if we go ahead and say, you know what, this is like, how often do you have an opportunity as a town board to stand up to New York State and say, hold on, you just came across and you said that you are no longer as a town allowed to participate in this process for permitting a project that's going to be solely in your community. And to sit back and there is an opportunity to appeal that and to not do that,
Yeah, but when you get a percentage of 0, why do it?
it's not a percentage of 0. It's the opinion of our attorney and of Dwight Kaniak. So we have 2 attorneys whose opinion is that it won't do anything. You have other attorneys who have chosen. There's an appeal for a reason. Yes, I understand it's a Hail Mary. There's no doubt about it. But why not throw it?
Well,
If we're in the 4th quarter, why not take the Hail Mary?
Why won't Clear Skies Hail Mary work? And if Clear Skies Hail Mary works, then, as I said, in their appeal, they said all the provisions of the town's local law should be adhered to.
But okay, so as an attorney, would it be more effective to have one organization say appeal something, or would it be more effective if there were more than one appealing? So to just say, like, you know that when you look at anything, is that like a town saying something, I believe, has more of a say than a not-for-profit organization saying something. And so as a town, if we're saying, hold up, New York State, you can't just say, no, you can't participate, and we say, okay, we're going to turn around and walk away, that's fine.
That's up to the board, not up to me.
I would like to just clarify that by submitting an appeal, we're not agreeing to what everybody else said. By submitting an appeal, we are appealing the decision, and we can specify specifically for what we as a town submitted ahead of time and to participate as a party to this case.
That's all it would be, because the appeal would be based on the town's previous submission. That's by definition.
Okay, but you were just saying that the town was covered because CSAB put in all the town stuff, but you're now saying that they didn't originally put in all the town stuff. So
They had said to conform to all components of our wind law. All components of it.
So
Not just the ones that we had, they said all.
So shouldn't we as a town be saying the same thing, that we want a project that's going to conform to our wind laws and that is going to allow us to participate in the process?
And we did. This is an appeal from that. We already, I guess I said, it's up to the town board, but from a procedural standpoint, we've already made all those submissions, made all those arguments to the administrative law judge. So.
Lance, is it going to cost us any additional money to do this?
Of course it will. Well, I
No,
don't know.
will it cost the town budget any additional money to do this?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. It's a question. I don't have any control over what national charges. I don't know where we stand in terms of the intervener funds, how much is left, and what it's going to cost.
Okay, so then I will make a motion that we as a town board appeal the decision that was made on July 5th, and that we direct Knopf and Shaw to submit an appeal on our behalf that does not, that their time and effort does not exceed, I'll even say 50% of what's left of the intervener funding, but done as, as frugally as possible. And I don't know what that is, but it's,
And then how can you put that in a motion if you don't know how much money?
well,
you're
that's,
talking?
see, that's the
To
thing,
let
is
you
that
know
we
that
haven't been
under
receiving,
intervener funding, we have used half of it at this time.
right, so
Do
I'm
not
saying,
forget that our intervener funding is not just the town, but it also includes the county.
so, let me pull up, because we haven't been getting reports as to where they are financially with with the intervener funding, as a town. So I can go through, Lance, how much, I mean, we know what our hourly rate is. How much do you think that it would cost to
Terry,
do?
you're gonna make a resolution?
Yes, but there was a question about finances, and I'm going to pull up. Do
That's
you
because
know?
you threw a little extra twist in there.
Because
What
I
is
don't
the
want it. I don't want it to
resolution?
cost the town.
You-
I'm putting that in there so that it won't. There will
Make
be
a
no money that
resolution.
comes out of the town.
Make a resolution, or we move on.
I move that the town of Barry appeal the decision that was made by the ALJs, and that Knopf and Shaw write up an appeal and submit it on our behalf as soon as possible. And that the expense should not exceed our intervener funding. I don't want it to cost the town money. I don't, and I think that all of you would agree with me. If we're gonna do this, we don't want it to. I don't understand why that's something that you should be upset at me about. I'm looking through to see if when the last financial report was submitted so that I can go off of that. But do you have any financial reports, Sean, as to where we are with intervener funding?
Not sitting in front of me back in my office, yes, and I can tell you that we have, at this time, submitted funding for at least 50%. It's more like about 55%, because it surprised me that we had used up so much. But as I said, that's the county as well as the town.
Right. So I don't want to. What I'm saying is that I think that we should do this because then, like, there is nothing after this for us to
Right.
participate in. So why not do this? But I also, like I'm saying, I'm reiterating, I do not want any of these funds to have to come out of the town's budget. So that's what I would like the resolution to say. I don't want to just give them a free check and say, spend a week on this. No. Like, I want them to, spend whatever time necessary, but not. Do you understand what I'm not trying to be unreasonable in this.
Do you want the resolution or not insofar as doing an appeal?
Yes, but I would like to have in there that I don't want it to cost the town any out-of-pocket expense. I want it to use
won't
intervener
upfront
funds.
right now.
Well,
But
it doesn't
towards
matter.
the end, as we continue to take money from the intervener funding, eventually we'll get to the point where we won't have the funds.
But
And
Sean,
don't forget the county is entitled to some of that money.
yes, but if we don't, this is the last opportunity. If we don't appeal this, it's done anyways. We won't be spending it down the road because we're kicked out of the process.
There are other parts of it that we will be spending the money on.
Okay, so can you identify what those parts are?
No, we've got a long ways to go yet.
But no, we are not a party to the case anymore. Right, Lance? Is there going to be expenses as a part, down the
You're
road?
a party to the project. What you're not a party to is the adjudicatory process anymore. But it's not that you're kicked out as a party to the project itself.
No, it said the ruling was that we are not a party to the case. So that is the whole case. I mean, that's the project. If we're not a party to the project,
Let's get this going. Make the resolution not to exceed intervener
funding.
period.
Well, it'd be the town share. of
Our
the-
share. That's fine.
Right.
The town share of the intervener funding.
And that's it.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? You have all that? Did I miss a second?
I'm asking you guys, and I believe that the residents of our community would be very disappointed in a town board that doesn't at least appeal a decision that kicks us out of a process that is going to be solely in our community. I am going to be sharing this because this is crazy.
Okay, since there's no second, then
Okay, guys.
there is no. God save the king. Okay, next. The
Crazy.
third project. Air Solar, you have a bunch of papers that were piled up in front of each of your chairs. When you first came in, remember at our workshop, I said we had received a box from them. They had made 6 copies of everything, of which everybody has gotten a copy of every one of those in front of you. We're still working on, I sent out to you on this, Wes and Jason from Lapella. Adam had written to them based on our workshop, and there is only like, I believe, 3. Comment 13, comment 35, and comment 4 that they are working on at this time, and we'll get those forwarded to Labella and ourselves. So what I'm looking at here is the possibility, once we review all this paperwork that you have in front of you, which is the HCA, road use, decommissioning, once you have reviewed all those papers and everything, we talk about them, I would like to move forward insofar as maybe making a conditional approval for the project pending our attorney, meaning Mr. Mark here, and Labella as our engineers, giving their approval on it. So that's all I wanted to say on that part. We're prepared. Like I said, you've got all the paperwork there in front of you. Next one, Hemlock Ridge Solar. They did send out a notice of application. They said that they were applying according to the letter on July 6th. And as far as I know, we know, they have not filed the application as of yet. But the notice of application was put out that they were applying on July 6th, which is past us at this time.
Is that the Orleans Community?
I'm sorry?
Is that Orleans Community Solar?
Well, it used to be called Orleans Solar. They changed it to Hemlock Ridge because it's all, most of it is south of Hemlock Ridge Road there.
Okay.
So they took the name of the road.
I just want to make sure that I wasn't a different one.
Yeah, no, they're one and the same. They changed it from Orleans Solar to Hemlock Ridge. Okay. Now, we had, the planning board had their meeting on Monday. And they have put together Wait a minute. Who is this?
This is Amy O'Brien, who represents ACS Solar on the Air Solar project.
Yes, Amy.
Hi, I just wanted to kind of circle back. I heard your comments on the project and heard your reference to maybe a conditional approval. I just wanted to kind of touch base. I think procedurally we still need to do a county referral and schedule a public hearing, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Who she got the-
Okay. I just want to make sure you're clear with that before we move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, on energy storage or battery storage units, the planning board finally put together a packet of their proposal for our new law having to do with storage units. And that was as of Monday, so you just received that. Lee sent a bunch of stuff out to you, as well as copies from the town of Alfred, another town, I think the town of Albion, or village of Albion, I don't know which one. So if you would please look all of that over as well. What we have to do now as a town board, because for the planning board, we gave them a 6-month, we took a 6-month moratorium, then we extended it for another 6 months. Recommendation here is to get another 6-month moratorium. We've used up our 2 shots at it. So what we have to do now is come up with a new law for a moratorium. We have to have a public hearing and all of this, and we have to review it, and it has to go to county. Unless we have some questions about stuff, in which case we'll ask planning board members to get involved again.
Can I just say one thing? It might be easier, I mean, because the original local law we passed provided for a 6-month moratorium and 1 6-month extension. So in order to continue the moratorium, we'd have to do another local law. It might be just as expedient, if not more expedient, to get a finalized version of the town law and hold the hearing on that and send that to county. I don't know that, when we first talked to the Orleans Solar, now Hemlock Ridge project, they came out and flatly stated they were not going to be building a battery storage facility as part of the project. In their letter of intent, it did say a possible battery storage facility. So the only question I have is if we can confirm with them that their intent is not to, and they're not going to, there's nobody else in the queue that would be building a battery storage facility. So I think maybe at that point we could say, all right, we're going to go ahead and just finalize the law that the planning board is working on.
Amy, you still on the line? Okay. As far as you're concerned, you've got that small project, 4.8 megawatts. You're not discussing any kind of a storage unit either, are you?
No, that's correct. I can go with that. Correct, you're not voting that storage.
Okay, so we just need to verify. And I think the last time, because of that document, I remember reading that, I had a discussion with Neil Habig. And he had said at that time that he or they were not planning on any kind of a storage unit either. But it'd be better if we had it in writing from them.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying then, Lance, is your proposal is that we set up a public hearing?
No, because I don't know that you have well, you could, we don't have the proposed law in its final format. I know,
Right.
Because I know I sent them another one from the town of, I think it was Alfred?
Alfred, yes.
Yeah,
That's in the back.
yeah, for them to look at and see if there was anything there they wanted to incorporate.
And you sent that to the planning board or
Yes.
just to us?
No, I sent that to the planning board.
Okay.
Excuse me, we look at it, and we've already sent you our final. The town board has our final. The reason we asked the extension is because our time ran out, and we don't know how long you're gonna take. But you have our final.
This is
You did
it.
look at your comments, Lance.
That was this one you sent Monday, right? Or you did it Monday and.
I thought we had sent it last.
One that, yeah, you just got it,
Went through it last month, and we said, okay, we're done.
Oh, okay, we just got it.
local law number 2 of 2021, it's listed at the top.
In that case, I think you might as well go ahead and proceed with the public hearing. I think that's gonna expedite things rather than doing another moratorium at this point.
I agree, but we didn't know how long it was gonna take. to
Right.
get-
Okay, then. Set up a public hearing, we need the 10 days. In the last week of July, which is 2 weeks from now, is county fair. You might not get anybody coming out for it. We have our workshop August 2nd. What if we have the public hearing August 2nd, prior to our workshop?
We just have to,
That's
we have to,
2.5 weeks
you know,
now.
we can publish the notice, but the problem also is that I think we have to notify the surrounding municipalities as well, and, I don't know if they'll give us enough time or not.
2.5 weeks.
Plus, I've gotta prepare the notice that will go into the paper as well.
Well, then
Have-
you can.
Have my fellow town board members read through what the planning board has proposed to us? Cause it,
Yes, I've been half through.
half through it,
I picked it up, Monday, or Tuesday it was, and I went home and read the half of it.
cause I have not. I was just thinking if we, had the public hearing, we could talk about it, I don't know, I guess,
We can
It
talk
doesn't
about
matter
it
what I-
at our
what I say.
workshop on the 2nd and have the public hearing on the 11th, just before our board meeting.
Yeah.
How's that sound?
does the, is this on our website?
Not yet, I don't believe, because we just got it.
Okay,
I don't think Lee has had a chance to put it there yet.
okay. I don't
Go
know,
on the website and see it. She may have already put it in there. Yes, she did.
I just, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. If we make changes to this and then have a public hearing, and then we can make more changes anyway, so.
Lance, does that sound like a good time frame?
We got a workshop on the 2nd.
Yep.
And we got a regular meeting,
On the 11th, so we can have a public hearing prior to our meeting on the 11th.
we do it at 6 instead of 7.
I'm sorry?
We do it at 6.
Yes.
August 11th at 6, you said?
Yes.
And the workshop is the second
Workshops on the 2nd, yes.
at 5.
Did you send me a copy of that, or this is the town board?
The workshop's gonna
Lee
be
sent this
5.
all out, maybe she didn't send you.
I'll have to ask her.
Oh,
Make sure.
yeah, I don't know.
The workshop's at 5.
Lee, if you're listening, send a copy to
I
Lance
think
right now.
that's when it has been, but.
Sean, the workshop's at 5.
Workshops at 5 on the 2nd.
And we're gonna have a public hearing
On the 11th
on the 11th,
at 6.
at 6, I guess.
And then the town meeting at 7.
So we're gonna cover heritage and. Heritage and second.
Okay, and you'll prepare that notice
I will,
and let Maureen know about it? You publish it, not her, right?
right.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Two more things yet, and that is, number one, our accounting office has said it's that time of year again, so we are starting right now with the budget process. Department heads have been notified, they have to start putting together what they anticipate they're going to need for expenses for next year. So we'll be working through that process. We'll have a public hearing on that as well before we vote on that. And then finally, is on the ARPA funding. The ARPA funding is the recovery money that the federal government is given to each state, and the state is not supposed to get a dime, but I'm sure Cuomo's finding a way to get some money. But, is sent to each of the municipalities, and each of the municipalities, we had to register with the state. Let them know, yes, we're interested in having those funds, I know it's kind of dumb, but we have to do that. And I had to provide them with what our budget was for 2020. So I did submit all that information to the state, and we were accepted. I know it's funny that they have said that hardly 50%, almost 50% of municipalities that are eligible had sent in requests for it. I'm sure there was a mad scramble the last 2 days. There is here, it says eligible projects. And I went to that treasury.gov system files. It's 42 pages long. That's why I did not run off a copy for everybody. But they cover everything. It's a Q&A document is what it is. And based on the documents that I had received before, when it came to towns, not cities and villages, but the towns, the only two areas where we can utilize those funds. Oh, also, originally we were told we were gonna get like $220,000. Well, when they accepted it, they came back and said we're getting $191,000, of which we get half by the end of this month, and the other half by the end of July of 2022. The two areas that I saw where we can utilize those funds without getting our hands slapped is insofar as the water infrastructure and high-speed internet infrastructure. As a lot of you know, we've had a lot of work done on the high-speed internet. They have been in town. We had a number of crews. A lot more people are connecting to the internet at this time than we had before. I don't know, before we were lucky we had 50% of the town covered. Now I'm pretty sure it's a lot closer to 75 now. We've got to sit down and find out from Spectrum exactly where we're at with that. How many areas, what are the areas where they did not cover? We can take a look, and if there's an area, my recommendation is that there's an area where there's like about 10 homes where we can utilize these funds to bring high-speed internet into that area of town. That's what my recommendation would be. I don't know if you saw the article in the hub about the county with this new high-speed internet system in which they use towers throughout the county. The flavor of that article, when I read it, was like all the towns were buying into it. Well, I automatically called 5 other supervisors, and they all agreed with me. They were surprised by the article as well, because none of us have agreed to anything at this time. The county said they were going to have a second meeting where they're gonna bring, experts from that company to meet with us to answer questions we would have. They have not had that second meeting as of yet. And it's like the county is moving ahead with this, assuming that all the municipalities in the county are going to support it. And at this time, like I said, I called 5 other towns and nobody knows anything about it and they're not in favor at this time unless we have some more questions answered. So at this time, Spectrum is the one that we're trying to work with right now and getting this expanded as much as we can. So as those funds come in, we've already spoke with our accountant, there's been a line set up for that, so those funds will be set specifically. I do not know, I'm sure that the state is gonna require some kind of report from us outlining what those funds are used for, right to the dime. So that's why we've got a separate line, budget line, just for those funds, so we keep them separate. We don't wanna just throw the money in the general fund. We're gonna keep it isolated so that we can track that money, so we don't get in trouble with the state. Anything on that, anybody?
When did you apply for it?
2 weeks ago?
Because the deadline is gone.
Yeah, no, we got the acceptance letter, I think I sent it out there before.
Yeah.
Could have, I didn't.
The deadline was the 9th, and I had applied like towards the end of June. Okay, my financials. Okay, at this time, general, town-wide. We have at this time expended $298,381.84 for a total of 54%, 54.7% of our annual budget. Highway Department, their expenses that they have spent so far are $359,471.15, which is about 40% of their budget. We're gonna be getting a hit with some big numbers here soon from the highway. Because number one, well, you just approved a bill tonight. We had a gentleman come here, he sandblasted all the wings and the arms and everything for the snow plows and repainted them, which was, I don't know, like $3,000 cheaper, I believe is what Gail said. Cheaper than what we paid when we had to transport them to another place where they worked on at their location, and we had to go back and bring them back. So that was man hours, wear and tear on our vehicles, and take them out there. So yeah, the cost of doing it was $3,000, but we saved money insofar as not having to pay somebody to travel on out there and deliver them. Also, starting as of this Monday, our guys are gonna be very involved doing chip seal on all our roads. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of road repair going on this next week in town. So we'll be getting, because that's where they throw the tar down and then they throw the stone on top of it. Like down East Berry Road where the county just did that. Same idea. Highway, everybody got a copy of that. Stakeouts completed, hot patching, grader T&L, processing, shared services towns of Clarendon, Shelby, Elba, Orleans, county DPW and the village of Albion DPW. Roadside mowing and equipment and sign repairs complete as required. Something you will be getting, board members, Dale's not here to qualify it more so, is that he had received a contract from the county. Not just for him, but for all the municipalities in the county. They want each municipality to sign a 5-year contract with the county insofar as snow plowing, putting the salt and gravel down, as well as mowing along the county roads. So that's a contract. We get paid for that every year. But they're looking for a new 5-year contract. Lance has a copy of it. Dale supplied me with a copy on Sunday, and they had a superintendent's meeting, county superintendent's meeting on Monday. I don't know what the results, what their discussion was all about. I'll have to find that out. But you will be getting, because that has to come to board approval. So you'll be seeing that contract shortly. Clerk's monthly report. Total state, county, and local revenues, you brought in $1,222. Total non-local revenues, $80.12. Okay. Highway. Margaret? Nothing? Planning, Tom, you weren't at the meeting Monday night.
No.
But, you have anything to say other than what you?
No, pretty much covered it.
Okay.
We did review Lance, what you sent us. It was pretty much covered.
I wasn't trying to be critical, I just thought if you were still in the process of reviewing, you should have something else to look at.
And all the board members received copies of that and take a look at it. We sent that out to you. Zoning board, didn't zoning board just have a meeting?
Yeah.
Well, you have, right?
For walking.
For what?
Walking.
Watson,
Oh, Eric Watson's,
yeah,
the addition on their house,
yes,
and that's all okay?
yes.
The other one is two.
Okay. Very good. Lynn, any updates on the park?
No, not really. We did one thing, I don't even know what you call it. It's the court account. I came out and looked at all the records, and I approved them.
Oh,
The
okay, at the
upgrade.
park, I'm thinking of the park.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I got,
Okay, so you
That's
looked at court
justice.
records all over it.
right,
Okay, you did the audit on it.
did the audit, it's,
Okay.
I'm doing something.
The park, nothing new on the park then?
Did Greg reach out to you from YMCA? So, Greg from the YMCA got a hold of me through a connection and asked who was responsible for our parks. They have received a grant for disc golf, and they want to put in an 18-hole disc golf, which disc golf, so it's like frisbee
yeah,
golf.
I know.
And the grant was approved for Genesee or Orleans County, and he was looking at areas, and he saw the Berrytown Park and the amount of space that we had. It's best if you have like different kind, like go up into the woods a little bit and into like flat area, and it's like, for those of you, it's like golf, but it's there's like little nets that you have to get the frisbee the frisbee into, and it's just kind of a fun thing. And there's leagues. There actually are leagues in this area, and something that people enjoy doing. So he said he was still in the process of looking at locations, and so nothing was set. But he wanted to reach out and see if it might be something that we'd be interested in. I gave him your contact and Jason Foot's contact, and I believe that he said he just kind of shared what the plan was, and I gave him your guys' contacts as you were the person for it. So I'll just maybe follow up with him and just say, hey, that you haven't heard from him, and to
His name's Greg.
yes, hold on, I have a.
Would be very interesting.
So it seemed like it wouldn't take up all of our space, and even like if you can do things around it, it's not like you have to. The whole space is utilized.
I think I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
When I was at the square dance, I was approached about that.
Okay.
And I gave him Jason's name and phone number at that time to get back to the gentleman. I just didn't have the gentleman's name. But I was told about that at that time, once again, because we have one of the largest parks in the county. They thought it would be ideal to be able to set it up in our park.
Right.
So I have not followed up with Jason to see if he's had a discussion with Greg.
Greg's
I
last
think-
name is Reed, by the way, Greg Reed.
R-E-A-D or
Yeah.
R-
Yeah.
Okay. And I called Jason and let him know the whole specifics that I was informed of, and to be looking forward to a contact from this Greg Reed at the YMCA. Okay, anything else?
Exactly. Oh, I would like to just say I did put a plug in there when I was talking to him, and I said if it's a grant, and he said he was going to look into this, if there's any way that a little bit of funding could be used or somehow figured out to not pay for the whole thing, but help with the electricity and getting electricity back into the park. That could be a really big win-win if we could do that. So I did mention that to him. He said that may be a little bit far-fetched, but he could maybe see where they could help with some of it. So
I can't remember the name of the solar company. The cost of putting electric back in the park, when we first investigated it, like 3 years ago, was like $12,000. Now it's like $28,000. It's an astronomical amount. So one of the things that I have toyed with, we haven't approved anything here, but I was looking at solar panels back in the town park on the north side before the woods, where it's very wet. There's difficulty for our guys to keep that. They have to wait until almost August before they get in there with a bush hog just to knock all that grass down. So when we had the RIT students do their presentation, remember they did a solar component to it at that time. And they talked about the number of panels so that it would negate our electric bills for a year, each year. So I have spoke with this gentleman, and I can't remember his name or the name of the company. It's on my desk. Lee sent him, we have 5 electric bills every month. And she sent those electric bills to him so that he can work it out. And I said, this year, the costs of everything keep going up. We're not trying to make money off these solar panels. We don't want to cover the whole park with them. We just want enough that will take care of our electric. And as, like I said, prices of everything, electricity is going to go up each year. So let's not have just enough to pay this year's electric bill, but let's look down the road for, let's say, what the electric bill might be like 10 years from now. And assume that we'll need that many panels. So he's putting together a package based on the town's electric consumption and the number of panels, what it would cost, as well as the panels that are going to be utilized for this project. So he's putting a package together, which I will present to all the board members as soon as I get that. A lot of the other ones that I've looked at, like Community Solar, they put the equipment out there and they give us 10%. Well, that 10% is gonna mean a lot of solar panels, and like I said, I don't wanna see a park full of solar panels. To be able to cover our electric bill. With this company, basically what we're doing is we're buying the solar panels, they install them and everything, set them up. I talked to them about maintenance and whatnot, what that would cost. But this way, we get 100% of what those panels produce. So that's why I'm looking at this one at this time. I'm just trying to gather information that I will share with the rest of you as soon as I get it. Okay. Carrie, anything else?
No.
Mr. Mark, anything?
Just, I intend to spend pretty much all day Friday going through all the AES materials, all the heritage wind materials that are available for review at this point, and I'll see what comments need to be made, and I will share them with the town. On this, do you want to talk about this this county agreement? Sean and I talked about this proposed agreement. The only issue we had, I don't know if it's an issue, but as part of this, Sean pointed out, it says this is where the county pays the town to do mowing and plowing and things like that at an agreed upon rate. And they put a clause in here, which I think probably is intended to benefit the town. It says, additionally, in the event that the county rescinds the current resolution in effect for disposition of county sales tax revenues, whereby towns receive a percentage of the net collections from sales tax, the parties agree to open negotiations within 30 days of the adoption of the rescinding resolution for the purpose of renegotiating the prices and rates calculated pursuant to paragraphs 3 and 6 of the agreement. So the way I'm interpreting it, and we're going to see clarification, is if the county is going to renege on giving sales tax revenue to the town, that this would be a reason to renegotiate a higher rate of reimbursement from the county rather than a lower rate of reimbursement. I think that's what it means, but we're just going to try to pin that down.
On that, Lance, that's a 5-year contract. Is there an increase each year that we receive?
They talk about not an increase each year, they talk about
It's,
renegotiation.
well, it's linked also to
Oh,
the
yes. To the consumer price index?
Yes.
Yes.
consumer price index. It's attached to that. So whatever that is, the previous year will be, they're basing the amount that we get reimbursed on that.
Well, it says the per year sanding and plowing rate will be based on the consumer price index Northeast region for all urban consumers, yada, yada, yada. The adjustment will be equal to the net percentage of change over a 12-month period dated June of the preceding year. So the county shall notify the town of the adjustment for town budgetary purposes and for the upcoming sanding and plowing year as soon as it is available.
Yeah, because the fuel cost alone. It's the
Fuel cost.
Well, I mean, if everybody's predicting, a huge increase in inflation, that would be to our benefit, obviously.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask a brief question, to the point that EV raised earlier. I guess, is there any moving the county referral in a couple of years because of the bigger project? Or if there is, probably a line of what that may be?
Well, we as a town board have not, we went through them, not this last workshop, but the workshop before, we went through all the different components of it. We'll have to take a look at that and see what we can do. They've got all the materials that you just sent us here a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So I handed all that material out to them at this time. No, not the newest ones. We reviewed documents, stuff that Adam had sent us electronically prior to these documents here. And one big component of it that I'm wondering about is the pilot, or how payments are made and what those payments are going to be. So we definitely have to look that component over yet.
Yeah, I believe the pilot is updated to reflect that information, so that's all there. Does, so at this time, the board doesn't feel as though they have a full application that can be submitted to the county?
Not yet. Not yet. I know, you guys wanted to get moving on this ASAP, didn't you?
Yeah, what this kind of, from our perspective, in fact, at the time of the year, we actually applied for the project in August 2020. So at this point, if the capital bill is done, it is not referred to the public hearing, that would, the next board meeting would be the potential support for that to occur, which is gonna be, I think another month, when that happens, until we.
Well, has Labella signed off on your comments from June 25th?
There are, as John articulated with our meeting, there are some comments that are still pending, one of which is actually a comment indicating the applicant needs to accommodate comments on the county, and that's not even been initiated yet. And then additionally, two comments on slopes that are insurmountable. These are very much past items that will be addressed in this one. It's going to require some additional coordination between our civil engineer and Jason, who is out of the office, and we received his initial comment. So there's really like three things that are out there, one of which requires the county to opine, and the other two are, as we see it, fairly easy to address.
And I think that's a follow-up on Adam's point too, as far as the full statement for the county goes, it's often happens all the time that once the county receives an application, changes are made, back at the town level on the application, minimal changes that don't affect the county referral. So at this time, with all that application material that have been submitted by AES and the minor comments that need to be addressed, I think we're of the opinion that there's no reason why the board has not received a full statement of the proposed action and why that can be submitted to the county. So the county may also come back with comments as well, on things that they would like to see, and then the board can review those, that it can be incorporated into the application materials if need be, and the process moving along a little bit.
And like with Heritage, I would assume, Lance, that we would have to have a public hearing prior to going to county.
Correct. Yep.
County planning board meetings are when?
The third Thursday,
Third Thursday of every month?
maybe the last.
So that would be, that's the meeting, but the deadline to get material in for is like that Friday before, isn't it?
It might be the last Thursday.
I got that on my phone board next to my desk.
What's the date that the planning county has to be on?
Fourth Thursday, the deadline is the
Third Thursday? So in August, the third Thursday is the 19th, the week after our board meeting. We have to have a public hearing before that.
That's what the county planning board's position is. They want a public hearing before the submission to the county.
Yeah.
So you're correct, you said Worthy County is their opinion, they want a public hearing prior to the referral.
That is correct.
They slapped their hands once already.
Gotcha, okay, well, for some, other projects in Orange County that were referred to the county prior to public hearing, actually being better even determined.
That's That seems more logical to me, but things got changed up on us.
And they actually, in the last matter that we had, the county planning board actually, sought advice from the state with regard to that issue, and the state came back and said that they expected us to hold public hearings before submission to the county, so.
I think it was more that whoever had the ruling authority, that board, whether it be the planning board or the town board, had to actually make a resolution, so that an individual couldn't just submit something that the whole board.
That was a separate issue. They wanted a formal, resolution in writing to send it to the county planning board.
Right.
But in addition to that, their expectation, I suppose, was what we got from the state was that they wanted the, public hearing, because when it goes to the county planning board, you're supposed to have as, as much material as possible, all right, as much of a final form as possible. And that included input from any interested citizens at the public hearing.
What's the general feeling, everybody? We try and squeeze this thing in?
You already did the secret, right?
We already did the seeker, we had a negative impact on the seeker. It's gotta be the 19th, we have a board meeting on the 11th.
Sean, you were saying that the concern was kind of on our end, mainly right now with the pilot host community agreement and decommissioning, and that as far as like we want to have it be as good as possible, but that wouldn't necessarily, like, we can still be changing and correcting and going through that through the public hearing, right?
Yeah. No, I don't, correct me, Lance, we won't be doing a pilot, we'll be doing everything through the HCA once again, right?
Right.
Okay.
I have a question in regards to the difference between getting it through. I understand we get it through the pilot, it's broken down based on percentage of taxes. So like, majority of our taxes goes to the school and then to the county, and then town taxes are only a smaller fraction of your total taxes. And so by doing it through the host community agreement, we can get more as a town. No?
No, it's just an easier mechanism, and we can specify, for example, that payments to the town can be made semi-annually instead of annually. Under the pilot, they're only made annually, and then of course it's the length of the pilot, whatever that is, as opposed to the length of the project. So we thought it was more beneficial to the town to do it through the host community agreement. As far as the amount on these smaller projects, we haven't worked anything on in terms of Hemlock Ridge yet, but on the smaller projects, the position of the county was that it would be a third county, third school, third town.
Okay. And as far as though when we get it through a host community agreement, there's limitations on how the money can be spent. Like it has to be for a full town-wide project or a town-wide. It can't go towards specific, like, whereas if it comes through the pilot, then it comes in with our taxes. It comes in with our budget.
No, I mean, you can still use the funds for any legitimate purpose in the town. The idea was that if it comes in as part of your tax revenue, and it may or may not be an issue, but, we're limited basically to that 2% cap unless we pass a local law, every year to say that we're not going to be bound by the cap. So when it comes through the HCA, and we don't have to worry about that. It's not subject to that 2% cap.
Okay. I heard differently as far as the, that there's
No,
regulations
it's just
for.
just a different vehicle for how the money gets to the town.
Okay, board, I'm looking at the calendar. I'm trying to figure out if we can somehow get it to the county in August, which means it has to be in their hands on the 19th. We have to have time to review these documents and talk about them. We have to have a public hearing.
County preferring that the referral be made after the public hearing, but I believe the New York town law requires that before a public hearing is held at least 10 days prior, that the board holding the public hearing, in accordance with the general municipal law, which is where the county referral requirement comes from, that the board provide notice to the county planning board and accompany that with a full statement of the action. So that in itself could constitute the referral to county planning. So essentially what I'm saying is under the New York town law, county planning referral needs to occur prior to the public hearing.
I disagree. I mean, I can show you the information I received from the state specifically on this point. And this is how the county planning board was directed to proceed by the state.
Okay. Yeah, just sending it over. Thank you.
When I get a chance.
Okay, what, do you know when that guidance was given? Please? Because I have to do an active process.
It was in sometime in 2020.
Okay, yeah, we've had a capital project in Loudoun County that hasn't occurred, prior to that hearing.
I'm sorry, but that's what happened with us. It happened when we were dealing with Heritage, and they went off, the county went off to the state. According to the county, this is what they told us we have to do. So this is the procedure that we will follow.
Understood.
I think this is the most compliant with the specific law, the specific New York town law. I understand the right to guidance. We just request that notice on planning board of the public hearing.
Board members. At our workshop on the 2nd.
We want to come in 1 o'clock?
Yeah, 1 o'clock sounds good to me. I'll be here. If we can look these documents over and communicate over the internet back and forth to each other, over our emails, I should say, whatever concerns we may have, and we can contact Amy and Adam about this, and see what we can work out between now and the workshop. The workshop, we can refine a little bit more. We have a public hearing also on the 11th for this.
At 5 o'clock?
I was thinking more like 5:30.
The 6 o'clock one is the Baird Solar, correct?
It's for the battery storage.
Oh, battery storage.
Yes.
So
This,
battery
this
isn't
other
at
one would
five.
be for the Baird.
Oh, battery's at 6.
Okay,
Baird.
that's on the 11th, correct? It's on the 11th.
Yes. 5:30 is Baird.
What's this? What time, or
5:30.
what date?
The
11th.
Oh. I see.
I will do my best to have all the stuff reviewed to open Friday.
Okay, so what we have right now is at our workshop on the 2nd. We have both the Baird project and the battery energy storage units for discussion.
And Heritage.
We got Heritage on there too.
Oh, yeah. And over all the documents on that one. Good thing
Sure
we're
you don't
starting.
wanna start till 4 at 4?
Can you?
I
I
can.
can't. It's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I work till 5 at the earliest. I leave early to come.
No, we'll start at 5. Like I said, if we can communicate back and forth with emails on some of our requests for changes or questions, and we can contact either Adam or Amy, or was it Teresa's the other one? We'll get these. That'll be at the workshop. And then we have the public hearing on the 11th at 5:30 for the Baird project, 6 o'clock for the battery storage, and then our
And the
town board meeting at 7.
Okay.
Got our month cut out. Good thing it's summer vacation. Okay, any questions, anybody?
Yeah, so one more myself, at the year, but, in regards to setting a public hearing, is a formal, I guess, resolution or motion need to be done at that?
Set up the calendar, yes.
Did you hear Lance?
Send it to the county, yes, but I guess when a public hearing, does that need to be passed formally by the board to set the schedule date August 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
So all you need is a motion to,
Yeah, for the 2 public hearings. Okay, do I hear a motion? Thank you, Al. Motion
No problem.
for a resolution for the public hearing for the Baird project at 5:30 on August 11th.
I'll make it.
and the other, did you already have a vote on?
No, we didn't. I'll come back to that one. Okay, so Lynn made the proposal.
Second.
Carrie.
Tom?
Carrie.
Carrie.
Oh, Carrie?
Yeah.
Okay. Carrie made the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried on that. Okay, do I also hear a motion for a public hearing on the energy storage units for 6 PM on August 11th.
Yes, I'll make that do.
Lynn made the motion,
I'll second that.
Tom seconded, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, so carried. Okay, we got everything covered now? Okay, do I,
Paul, if you don't mind sending over that, guidance you got regarding county referral, and I'll take another look at, what I think the law and regulations are, and then maybe we can touch base about that, just to make sure, we're compliant with everything that needs to be complied with, and we know what the inspections are.
Lance said he would send that to you, yes.
I can't guarantee it'll be tomorrow, but it'll be within the next couple of days.
No worries, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Lynn made the motion,
I'll see you.
second,
Second.
Margaret seconds, all in favor,
Aye.
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 opposed, so carried. Thank you, everybody.
Are you gonna contact them or?
I'll ask Dale, I wanna talk to Dale and see what came out of that meeting. You want, hit that green button down there, please, and turn the mic off down there, please.